By the end of this video, you'll be able to achieve crazy animation of your cameras and shots like this one right here. Wait for it. Boom. Check that out. And this one right here. So you'll be able to animate your shots. As simple as that. Let's get started.
What is up, beautiful people? We are now at chapter 18 of our Unreal Engine tutorial series, and we are going to dive deeper into Sequencer. What are we going to learn today?
Wait a second. Before we get into that, when you said almost there, does that mean it's almost goodbye?
Yes, it is. They made it all the way here.
But I'm going to miss you guys.
But they made it all the way here. Let's focus on the chapter.
Actually, you know what?
Let's go.
I love you. Okay, so today we're diving deeper into the sequencer, which means we're actually going to take everything that we learned up until now and start setting up our shots so that in the next chapter, we can go ahead and render them. I remember precisely when I first started in Unreal Engine 5, I actually knew my way around Unreal Engine because I had used other 3D software. I understood the materials and things of that sort, but I just didn't know how to render. I had no idea how to render. So the next two chapters, today and the next video, we're gonna walk you guys through how we can set up shots, animate our cameras, and also teach you guys rendering. So Farhad, first thing that we are going to do is I'm just gonna reduce the amount of lighting in my scene. It's a little too bright right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just hide some of these guys. Now, if you closed Unreal Engine since the last video up until now, and you reopened it and you went to your level, you'll probably notice that your animations are gone. So just make sure you go ahead and open up your sequencer again. There's two ways you can do that. One is you can find your sequencer in the outliner and then click open level sequence, or you can just find it in the content drawer and double click it. Both of them will do the same thing. They will load your sequencer. As you can see, the animation is here and you can pull it up. If you don't see the window, you can pull it all the way up. And again, if by any chance your windows are all messed up, window, load layout, default, editor, layout, okay? So now that we've got this, it's time to begin setting up our shots. Now, it is absolutely crucial that you set up your cameras early on in your projects. You don't want to wait until the very end like we did for this beginner tutorial series, because technically when you set up your cameras, then you will build the world that only your camera sees. And that's all you need, right? Because technically that's the only result you'll see in your renders.
Exactly.
So what we're gonna do is me and Farhad already know our storyboard. We know the shots that we want to put into the cinematic that is gonna be the result of this tutorial series. Now that has a couple of different shots, right?
Yes, and we are going to render 2 of those shots with you guys so you guys learn the whole process. And then you will go and plan the other shot yourself and share all the results with us on social media.
We don't want everybody to have the same exact result. You can have the same result as the 2 shots that we show you, but we definitely recommend you take this challenge, learn it from us here, and then go and create your own story with your own animations. So let's begin with our first shot. Farhad, we're going to need the camera. How do we bring it in the scene?
Top left, add actor, cinematics, cine camera actor.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Okay, so for our first shot, what we liked to do is, and this is not going to be necessarily the first shot in our cinematic, but the first shot we're going to show you today. So for our first shot, we wanted to bring the camera in between the stormtroopers. And what we like to do is just take this to ground level and raise it up. We don't care about the decal on top of the camera. And what we wanted to do, as the stormtroopers are passing to the side of the camera, we wanted to go ahead and animate the camera to ascend up and see the door of the spaceship opening. However, if you notice right now, our shot looks extremely ugly. And that is mainly because we can't even see the full spaceship. We can't see any of the other stormtroopers, and it's just way too close to the edge, way too close to the edge of the spaceship. We want to go ahead and add more distance for these stormtroopers. So if you take a look, the only distance they're traveling is just this much. We want to add to that distance. And in order to do that, we need to go ahead and change some of the values that we created in the initial animation chapter. So let's pull the camera back, because this is way too close. So maybe I want to bring the camera somewhere here, right? And then if you go to the details panel of our camera, right now it's at 35. We can go to 25. I might even want to go maybe 50 because, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, let's keep it at 35 for now.
So this is where exactly you play with parameters. You will look at your scene, you will change the lighting, change the angle of the camera, change the focal length, and get that perfect shot.
Absolutely. And there's no right or wrong answer here, right? There's no way you can tell, oh, the right focal length is this much. No, you have to experiment for yourself. The one thing we do know is that these guys are way too ahead of the camera. So let's pull them back. Let's go to this guy, T-pose, right, 5. And then we want to go to his transform, his X location. We want to pull it all the way back here to behind the camera. This is where we want him to begin. And then we're going to keyframe that. And then if you look at what happens now, he's just going to slide because it's going too far, right? And that's okay for now. We're going to take this guy as well and open up his X location. And we're also going to pull that guy back all the way here. Just going to make sure they're roughly the same. They're not exactly the same, but that's okay. Just roughly the same. And then I also want them to be closer to each other. They're too far away from each other. They need to be friends. So let's bring him here, and perfect. And also this guy, let's bring him a bit closer. His Y here, perfect. We don't need to keyframe that again. We have no keyframes on the Y. We're just changing the entire Y-axis location. This seems to be about right, but now they're on the airport treadmill. Okay. All right. So first of all, we definitely have to go ahead and extend this animation because it's too short for them to have to make this entire walk here. And then what we need to go ahead and do and say, okay, you are traveling too fast. So the destination, right, this 2 markers right here for the end need to be pulled back. So I'm going to shift select both and I'm going to pull them back just until 295 frames, and let's see how that works. They're sliding forward, Farah.
They're sliding forward now.
So we need to go ahead and pull our timeline, the end of our timeline, even more. Even more. And then we're going to pull these guys to 450, right? And then let's see the difference.
Much better.
Much better. Are they? Yeah, they're pulling forward a little bit. So let's go to something like 500 and then pull these guys again. And then see that?
Oh yeah, this is good.
They're pulling forward just a little bit. Not the end.
We need to continue the animation.
Yeah, we will continue the animation. Don't worry. I just want to go ahead and pull them again. So I'm going to continue the animation, make sure it keeps looping. And then just a tad bit more, I'll pull these guys.
I think it should be good now.
Yes, and the animation as well. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, now they're being pulled back.
So it's a bit too much.
Too much, yes. Right here. Where is it? Okay, perfect. So now we have the perfect walking animation. They're walking for a while. And the great thing about this is that now that I have all of this distance, I have enough time to set up different shots, different cameras, different angles that I can cover for the same walking animation, right? So let's just look at the whole sequence again. These guys are walking. The door of the spaceship is opening way too early, right? Way too early. So what we're going to do is going to pull this all the way back. It is okay if this is happening, if the flaps are doing this, because in the first shot, I'm not even planning to take the plane, the spaceship, so it's all right. I want it to probably open somewhere around here as they're moving closer, right? We can go ahead and precisely make this change once we have our camera set up. So let's go ahead and bring our camera. Farhad, this is our camera. How do we add it to our sequencer?
Track.
Select the camera.
Track.
And actor the sequencer.
Yes, adds an actor.
Perfect. So the camera's there, and as you notice, this is the first time we have added a camera to our sequencer. It does come with already a bunch of settings that we can change. We can change its aperture, we can change the focal length, and we can change the focus. These are some of the settings that you will commonly use, right? You're going to be changing the focal length to sort of like zooming in and zooming out, and then the amount of blur and depth of field that you're going to have in this shot. And then the focus, right, of the camera. Where is it at? But if you want to go ahead and control more parameters, again, always check out the plus icon. The camera component is already there. So this is where you're going to be going to look for the parameters. Hit the track icon, and then you can see all of the other options that you can add here. For instance, you have the film back setting, which was our sensor width and height at the very top that controlled basically how wide our screen was. You can go ahead and change that if you want to while shooting, right? Those options are there. There's other things that you can change as well. So I'm just going to let that stay as is. We don't need to change that. I'm just going to see what I want my shot to look like. I'm going to eject this, have it in my preview, and I'm going to pin this so I can make the changes as I'm looking from far away. So I have these guys walking. Very cool. Kind of like it. but I need to bring my camera closer to ground level. That was the initial idea, right? So let's take it lower, all the way down to ground level. And then let's have these guys walk. I want to see the spaceship open up. So I'm going to close the drop down of my camera and I'm going to bring this here. And then let's see if this is my shot. I'm going to pull this back. And I want the action to happen at the same time. The door opens and these guys are walking.
I think the door should open a little bit later.
A little bit later, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. So let's say like this.
Yes.
And then like this. You know what? One thing that is annoying me is that the action of the plane is happening way too fast. So I want to teach you guys how you can go ahead and slow down or speed forward an animation. And in order to do that, we're going to use the properties of an animation. So these are animation layers, as you can see. If you want to go ahead and change the properties of an animation, you can go ahead and right click on the animation layer. So open it up, go to the animation layer, right click, and then here you will have some options in the properties tab. The one that we're looking for is play rate. So play rate is the speed of your animation.
Let's change it to half to make it double time.
So
let's change it to half to make it double.
Slower. Yeah. We can make it slower if we change it to 0.5. That's half the speed. And as you noticed, did we see a change here? Yes. So I'm going to hit Control Z to see the difference and Control Y to redo. So now we have double the amount of animation and we're going to bring this in. Let's just see what it looks like. So imagine if we can pull this back. That's too much. So check this out. These things have opened up already. And the door opens. Boom. That was pretty cool. We can even bring this further away. And check this out. Even more. Okay. I think this is right. Ooh, yes. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay. So now let's go inside our camera view. Okay. And let's go ahead to our camera. I'm just going to test this. Okay. I'm not sure about these variables and these values. I want to go to my location. I'll just go all the way to 0. And then I'm going to hit keyframe on all of my transforms, everything. And I'm going to hit the viewport, hit G to remove all the overlays. And then I'll come to maybe somewhere around here. And then I'll raise the camera higher. Okay. So I'll go to I'll do it from here. So I'll go to my location and okay, I'm controlling the floor for some reason. I'll go to my camera, select it here, and then I'll raise it up.
This is good.
Yes, it's perfect. So once I raise it up, I have to go ahead and press my transform again. And then let's take a look at the animation.
Wow, so in our sequencer, we are animating the door of the spaceship, the stormtroopers, and the camera now.
Yes. I don't like how I'm starting slow and then going fast. One option is to go to the go to the graph editor and fix that. Or when it's actually accelerating, I can just pull this back. So that part is happening before we even start our first frame. And then it's already moving by the time we open our shot. So check this out. See, it's already moving. And I kind of like this.
This is good.
Yeah. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually go ahead and play with our
focus.
Absolutely. Because right now, I don't even know where my focus is. It's probably at the spaceship. I want to change that. So I want to go ahead and bring my debug first. So by clicking on our camera, we're going to go all the way down to our focus, draw debug focus plane, and then let's bring this all the way forward. Because technically speaking, our stormtroopers are going to be walking there.
Yes.
And then I'll turn off the debug. I like how blurry it is, but I want more blur, which means I want to go ahead and lower my aperture value right there. Okay, really cool. So now maybe let's try to make this a wide angle camera. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's give it a try. Maybe go for 25. So the next thing that I'd like to do, if you see our shot right now, these guys are passing by, which is pretty cool, but I'd like to change it to a little bit of a widescreen. If you guys remember how we did that, it's through the film back settings. So right now is 23, 13. I'm going to just change the numbers again. I'm not exact with this right now. I'm going to get the exact numbers that I want from the internet later on. But something like 34, 14 is pretty wide. Okay. But because I want to go ahead and increase my squeeze factor to 2 to get the anamorphic lens effect, I'll have to increase this number to get the widescreen again. So right now it's more of that anamorphic lens effect. And I'll have to play with my focal length again because now it seems extremely wide. Okay, so this is the kind of shot we wanted. And then let's try to play this again, see how it looks. That's even more widescreen. Ooh.
This is getting good.
Okay, this is
We
becoming
need
badass.
to animate the focus too, right? Because at the end, we want to have the focus on the spaceship.
Yes, so I'm thinking I'll make this even more out of focus, something like this, okay, in the beginning. And then I can actually manually do the focus myself. So I can go ahead and keyframe something from this right here, from this button, by the way, if you didn't know. I can go ahead and press that keyframe, and then it creates one right here. And then I can say, okay, let's go forward to here. Okay, this is pretty cool. I can go ahead and change the focus to something like this, and then keyframe, and then go forward, and then keyframe again. I kind of like how they go out of focus though. Maybe I won't see if
I want to see the yes.
No, I kind of
No,
don't
the
want.
last one. Can we just have the spaceship in focus?
No, I don't want to do that. I kind of don't want to do that.
Let's see how it looks.
So right now we've got a really nice bokehs. Do you see from
Yes.
the spaceship? And then if you play this shot, look at what happens.
Guys, mind you that we are animating so many things at the same time. Camera, stormtroopers, the door of the spaceship, and our focus.
I'm really starting to like this shot. Okay. And one other thing I'd like to mention is that here, okay, whenever you're creating new shots, this is going to be absolutely crucial. You have to change your lighting almost all the time. So it's not like you create one set of lighting and it works perfectly for every shot. Even in real life, you have a lot of fake lighting. And when you're watching movies, you think that, oh, if they're in the house and in that scene, they're just staying in the house, that the lighting remains the same for every angle, every shot. That's not the case. They always switch it up to match the mood, match the vibe, and also to make each person pop out according to the background and things of that sort. So in this case, we are not touching any of the lights yet, but every single time we actually set up a new camera, we go ahead and change the lights almost completely sometimes. So be very careful with that. Once you set up your shots, then go ahead and start playing around with the lighting, which is also the most enjoyable and pleasant part because they're reacting in real time and you get to really set the mood of your scene. So right now, I'm almost done with this shot. I just want to make a few more adjustments maybe. I just want to check this a few times. The one thing I do not like is how disproportionate this white square is. I believe I have to make it move a little bit. So I'm going to press that, select these guys, and then move it. I got to select this guy as well. Am I moving the yellow one? I think I'm moving the yellow one. Okay, let's go out of this camera view. Yes, don't move this yellow one. I'm going to move this to like the middle. Go back to my camera. Move it here. What do you guys think about that? Yeah,
Much better.
That's a little bit better, right? It just didn't feel like it's centered. Okay, now, the other thing that you need to know, and I think we neglected this up until this point, is that if you go ahead and save, you've noticed that once you added your first camera to the sequencer, you have automatically added this thing at the top that is called camera cuts, right? And it's basically showing you a strip of film which has all these images, but these images are actually the exact frame that you have on your screen when you look through your camera. And at the top, it's reading out a name, which is Cine Camera Actor. That is your current camera. So Farah, what do you think this camera cut is for?
This is basically giving you the ability to have multiple cameras and multiple cuts from different cameras into the same sequencer.
Absolutely, because technically we have the same walking animation. Now we want to take another shot from another angle, and then when we hit render, we want it to render in sequence and change the camera angles. And this is one of the biggest questions when people start Unreal Engine. They just don't know how to make these different camera cuts. This is how you do it.
Let's try a second camera and then bring the cuts here.
Absolutely. So I am going to go out of my camera. Remember, one way to do that is by hitting eject, or you can go ahead and hit this button. It's highlighted now. So we're going to unlock the camera, which means we're going to eject out of it. So we have our first camera. The next camera that we're going to put, and honestly, I'm just going to show you some of the shots that me and Farah were thinking about. So let's go ahead and bring our second camera. I'm going to go ahead to Cinematic, Cine Camera Actor, drop it in, and then I'm going to go to Perspective, pilot this guy. Now, pull this down and hit G so we don't see the overlays, and then make sure, so for some reason, that blue mark is not there, that means I'm not seeing the proper camera angle. So I'm going to hit this, and now it's correct. Okay, let's go up. One of the camera angles that me and Farah really liked was right here, because if you watch any movies like Dune or Star Wars, if they want to really show you how grand the scene is, they usually have a shot like this, and it's from behind a spaceship and things like that, and then you see the army. This is technically that shot, and you can go ahead, by the way, to, if I search for Cine Camera Actor, I want to change the settings to the camera and then play with the focal length a little bit, make it even wider, and just look at this beauty. Again, we haven't played with the lighting yet. We haven't added any effects yet, any animation here, but it just looks so freaking cool. But there's one problem. Farah, do you see what happens to our stormtroopers when I move my camera?
Oh my God, their shadow is getting disappeared.
Yes, which is so weird, because technically if I want to take a shot from here, this looks so freaking fake. Where is the shadow underneath my stormtroopers?
Call the console command.
Absolutely. So this is actually happening because there is a term called Raytracing.Culling. Culling, C-U-L-I-N-G, is basically, I believe another word for that is cutting. So technically it's saying if you go too far away from an object, you can ignore its ray tracing shadows, which helps you save on your GPU costs and it helps your performance. But we do not want that at this point. We need the shadows if we're going to pull our camera this far away. So the console command to help you fix that is r.RayTracing.Culling --0. So we're going to copy that. Control C. We're going to leave that in the description box below as well. Put it down here. Look at the shadows underneath here. Hit 0. And they're all back. Now, you know what's interesting, Farah? If this was path tracing, you wouldn't have this issue. Path tracing just actually shoots out all the rays and you don't have any issues with these shadows. So this is only for Lumen. Now, this was one shot that we really liked. Another shot that we really liked was actually placing the camera right here.
These are all tips and cheat codes for you guys for your cinematic later on.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good one as well, because if we go to the sequencer, I don't have my sequencer. Let's pull it up. Let's see what happens when this thing opens up. Imagine you have a camera angle right here, right? And then you're seeing the stormtroopers from the right and left side, and you can put some light here. Maybe you can composite some fog and then see this, or some smoke, and then see this thing open up. And then when it opens up, you're going to see the stormtroopers walk in towards the spaceship. You can even animate this to go further. Check this out. So once you render out the first shot, you can actually come back here and actually change this so that as it's opening up, you'll see these guys walk towards you, right? This is just another shot. Now, let's go to the shot that we want to show you guys actually in this video.
Wait, listen. Did you know that you can create highly photorealistic scenes with photogrammetry by taking in what exists in the real world into 3D? We've been using Polycam to do exactly that, using our phone and drone. Yes, that's right. And guess what? They sponsored this video to give you guys 30% off their pro plan, so you guys can go ahead and try it for yourself. Use the code BADDECISIONS in the link in the description. Back to the course.
So Farhad, what is the point of this shot?
So the second shot is going to show and represent the crowd that we have in the scene. We want to show how many stormtroopers are there, how majestic they look, and we are going to focus on the two who are walking in the middle.
That's right, absolutely. And in order to do that, we spent a good 1 hour just moving our camera around, finding that right angle, and we figured out that we can be somewhere around here and start with the stormtroopers in the middle walking, and we'll just side scroll with them as long as they're walking, we just side scroll with them, and we'll pull in a very, very long lens, so something with a high focal length, and then really zoom into them, have a really big blur in the background, and it's just gonna look super good. So just watch this and you will learn exactly how we're gonna do it. We're gonna jump into our camera. Okay, I'm gonna go to Cinema Camera Actor 2, and then right now, I'll use the sliders to be exact where I'm going. I'm going to make sure I have my camera selected. I'm going to use a Z-axis just to come a little bit maybe higher. And then on the X-axis, I want to move a little bit to here. Maybe I want to start a little bit ahead of the stormtroopers. And the next thing I'd like to do is make sure I'm tracking the stormtrooper. So Farhad, how do we do that?
Enable look at tracking.
Enable look at tracking.
And use the eyedropper to select our stormtrooper.
Absolutely. So right now when I hit enable look at tracking, it just snaps to a random side. So actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's disable that. Let's Control Z. Okay. Let's use the eyedropper tool to first select the actor so it doesn't snap to a random location. So eyedropper, and I need this guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Select it. Enable.
Boom.
Okay. It worked. We're tracking him. But guess what? It's tracking his foot. For some reason, it's tracking his foot. Now, luckily, Unreal Engine has a solution for that. And that is called relative offset. So according to the track, you can go ahead and offset your axes. So I know I need to look up. That is my Z axis. So I'm going to go ahead and play with this value until I'm looking and tracking the right, wrong axis, the right location. So I'm going to lift this up and
150 should be good.
yeah, I'm happy with this right now. Okay, cool. So if we move this sequencer, you'll notice since the camera's not moving, all that's happening is that we're following the stormtroopers.
This is cool too, but we want to move the camera.
We want something
Actually,
even
this is
better.
really cool too.
This is really cool too. But we
Actually,
want
this
something
is cool. Okay, no, but move the camera.
Okay, so you know what? Let's set the camera first. Okay,
Yeah.
let's set the camera settings. We want it to look close to our first camera. So we know that our first camera was a wider screen camera. So we're gonna change these values to something like 34, 14 for now. Okay, pull this down. And then you can see that it's good, but we don't have our anamorphic lens effect. So in order to add that, squeeze factor must be at 2. Now we have to go ahead and change our height again. I'm going to go for something like 24. Again, this is temporary. I might change this at my render time. But for now, it looks great. But once you do the squeeze factor, your focal length kind of gets messed up. It's too freaking wide now. So we're going to push the focal length even further. I want something like this. Yes. I want to completely cover my shot with stormtroopers. Like, there's just too many stormtroopers in the shot, and I love it. Okay. We're going to bring down our aperture to make it even more blurry. So we're going to do this. Look at that. Okay, everything's super blurry right now. So Farhad, what should we do next?
Focus.
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn on my debug focus plane and pull in my focus to... I want the focus to be on the second stormtrooper. So I want the first guy to be slightly blurrish.
blur.
I think that just looks a little bit better. So I'm going to pull the focus even further. Something like this should do. I'm going to turn off the debug. And let's just see how this plays without us moving the camera.
Ooh. I think if you change the focal length a bit, oh, this looks good actually.
Just look at the
Can we see
amount
the
of stormtroopers.
Wow, this is really good.
Okay, cool. So this is not actually the shot we wanted. We wanted to move the
we want to
camera.
move the camera too.
Yes. So in order to move the camera, and I want to see it from far away, so I'm going to eject, and then I'll keep this preview by pinning it. And then let's go up here. So Farhad, I got my camera. Now I want to animate it.
So let's track the camera inside our sequencer.
Okay, actor the sequencer.
Yes.
Adds in the camera.
First thing, on the first frame, let's add the keyframes.
For the transform, right?
Yes,
Because we're going to be
exactly.
moving the transform. So
Yes.
I'm just going to keyframe all transforms.
Perfect.
And
Now
then-
move the camera all the way.
I'm going to move out first so I can clearly see where I'm moving my camera. I'm going to pin this so I can see the result. And then I'll go all the way to maybe here. And then I'll pull the camera to here.
Slightly ahead of them, yes.
Yes. And then let's go ahead and
Keyframe
put
again.
down another keyframe. And then let's see what this looks like. Because I actually have no idea. Okay. This might look really good or might look really horrible. Let's go to Cine Camera Actor 2 and then press play.
This is good. Wow.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, this is good.
This is good, but I just want to make a few more changes, okay? So first of all, can we go back to our track? Look at tracking interrupt speed is still at 0, which is a really harsh track. Let's change this to 4 just to make it a little bit more delayed. And then let's watch it again.
Yes, much better.
This is much better. But I just don't like how fast this is moving. So I'm going to make this even slower by just pulling this. Actually, you know what? I'll make this linear. Okay, I'll turn all of this by right-clicking, hitting linear, which means they're going to start with a constant speed, and then they're going to get slower later on. And then I'll pull this even out. So we're starting ahead.
Okay, this is much better.
Boom, doom, 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 doom.
Wait.
Doom, doom.
Oh, the decals.
Did you
oh my
see
God.
that?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Turn off the decals.
Okay, they turn yellow because the decals are impacting the character. So let's go ahead and select the character. Let's go to the details panel, search for decal, receive decal, turn off. Same thing for this guy, turn it off. And then let's watch that again. Now at this point, by the way, before we even hit play, you are more than welcome to try anything else. You can go ahead to your camera, right? And then go to your focal length to be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to open this guy up and then play it again. Check this out. Okay.
Oh, I love this much more.
This is a completely different
Yes,
look.
I love this.
Right? Boom. As you can see, we just taught you how to set up your shots, animate your cameras, and create really cool scenes like this one and this one.
Now it's your turn to go and set up other cameras and create different scenes. So in the next chapter, we are going to teach you more about lighting and render setting.
See you later.
Ciao.